Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 14. Here's the title: All of your problems go away in the Lord. Just kidding. We're looking at Psalm 124 today in a series I'm calling The Psalms of My Friends. Psalm 124 is short, only 8 verses long. It's short and sweet. And here's the sentiment that I keep coming back to. It opens with, "If the Lord was not on my side, then things would have been different. The outcome would have been different, the journey would have been different, and certainly the company would have been different." So the Bible does not promise an untroubled life. And here in Psalm 124, there is trouble that pops up. It rises, it tries to swallow us. It's people that kindle and foster, they plan, plot, intend, and care for this anger that they're stewing. And it's the image of a flood that can sweep away, a torrent that goes over and rages. It's the people desiring to prey upon something. And what is that something? It's the psalmist, it's David. So in this case, the Lord fortunately gives escape from, like a bird from the fowler's snare. So here, not only do we have the presence of the Lord, we have the help of the Lord. So a big point from Psalm 124 is the Lord is not impassive to our problems. So read with me Psalm 124. It's a song of David, verse 1. "If it had not been the Lord who was on our side," let Israel now say, "if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when people rose up against us, then they would have swallowed us up alive. When their anger was kindled against us, then the flood would have swept us away, and the torrent would have gone over us. Then over us would have gone the raging waters. Blessed be the Lord who has not given us as prey to their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the snare of the fowlers, the snare that is broken. We have escaped." Verse 8. "Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth." So this is not to say that association with the Lord makes your problems disappear, but he does change the scenery along the way amidst our problems. So if the Lord was not there, things would have been different. Yes, things would have been different, but they wouldn't have been perfect. So far in these Psalms of my friends, we've read Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd psalm, and in that psalm there's fear and there's shadows and there's evil and there's death and there's enemies in the beautiful, comforting Psalm 23. And then in Psalm 73, which is the second one we did in the Psalms of my friends, "Whom have I in heaven but you, and there's nothing on earth that I desire you," is kind of the punchline of that particular psalm. But of note, there's an enemy in the psalm. And we might be tempted to think it's the prideful one that wears pride around his neck like a necklace. But no, it's me. I'm the enemy in Psalm 73. I almost get this wrong. My feet almost slip. I nearly fell. Where? Well, into aligning myself along with the wicked. So, yes, there are real wicked people in the story, but the point of the psalm is that I was the one to really worry about. I was the biggest knucklehead in that particular psalm because I almost voted with my soul and my feet to affiliate and align myself with that terrible line of thinking. So, in that sense, the enemy that I was most at risk from Psalm 73 is myself. And so, similarly, here in Psalm 124, we also have difficulties and we are in need. And ultimately, the help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. So, the location or the source of this resource, while being pursued, why people are trying to gnaw at us, why people are trying to consume us, why they're trying to rush us away, the comfort is in the Lord, in his name, in his character, in his ways, in his comfort, and in his opposition to the things that are opposing us. His being for us. So, what is it that we desire and require and desperately need? I think it's HELP. Yeah, I think he is a weak man who does not sometimes say, "I need help." He is weak because there are problems that realistically and in reality are bigger than the resources that you have yourself. And to deny yourself access to the help is foolish and unwise and unrecommended in every way possible. So I know this Psalm 124 finds many of you in need of help. And that's perfect. That's exactly why we turn to the scriptures and turn towards the Lord, which is because where else can we go? If it had not been this way, and if it is not, that is the Lord at our side, then who is it? Are we going to say, a politician saves us, or a scientist, or a coworker, or even a companion that has good intentions, let's say a spouse or family member? And what if the problem, even for those well-intentioned people, is above their pay grade? Verse number 1 says, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side, let Israel now say. Verse 2, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when people rose up against us. So no, let's do what David does in Psalm 124, which is gratefully acknowledge that our help, verse 8, our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. Let's throw ourselves upon his help, his name, his power. He's the one that made heaven and earth, don't forget. And let's throw ourselves upon the understanding that if it were not for him at our side, we would have been in need that could not be met in any other way. So if it had not been the Lord on our side, we would have not had the help, specifically the kind of help that only he could give. So we have Psalm 124, the Lord on our side, which means he's for us. He's at our side, which means he's with us. And during real problems, which is he's helping us in real time. So if the Lord had not been on our side, I don't know what we would have done. The Bible doesn't promise that all your problems go away when you associate with him, but it does say he's at our side during the hard times. Thanks for listening.